We are addicted to the timeline. From the moment we are old enough to understand language, we are taught to look forward. We are trained to view our lives as a trajectory, a line moving from point A to point B, always ascending, always improving, always reaching for the next milestone. We are told that satisfaction lies in the future. It is in the degree, the marriage, the promotion, the retirement. We are sold the idea of the storybook ending. But there is a profound melancholy that haunts the modern soul, a whisper that suggests this linear march is a deception. We listen to songs, we watch films, and we absorb the cultural mythology that says if we just struggle hard enough, if we just purify ourselves enough, we will arrive at a permanent state of happily ever after. Yet, as the songwriter Dan Fogelberg once wrote, storybook endings never appear. They're just someone's way of leading us here. Leading us where? To the present moment, to the only time that actually exists. The ego, that architect of our discontent, is terrified of the present. The ego cannot survive in the now. Its entire existence is predicated on the past, your history, your trauma, your story, and the future, your goals, your fears, your salvation. The ego keeps the carrot dangling just out of reach. It tells you that you are incomplete, but that you will be complete tomorrow. Just one more seminar, one more book, one more achievement. We call this ambition. We call it drive. We praise people for pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. But what if this entire mechanism of striving is not a virtue, but a defense? What if the endless project of self-improvement is actually a massive, complex distraction designed to keep you from the terrifying simplicity of the truth? The truth is that God created you perfect. Not perfect one day, but perfect now. You cannot improve upon what the divine has created. You cannot polish a diamond that is already flawless. So what is all this activity? What is all this reinventing of the self? It is a denial of who you are. It is a way of saying, I am not enough, so I must build a better version of me. This is the great paradox of the spiritual path. We think we come to spirituality to build a better life, to become a holier person, to act more serene. But true spirituality, the kind that actually wakes you up, is not about construction. It is about destruction. It is a dismantling. Imagine a house built of cards. That house is your personality. It is your likes, your dislikes, your political views, your memories, your grievances. You have spent decades carefully stacking these cards to create a structure called me. And you defend it. You glue the cards together with righteousness and fear. Then, the winds of the spirit begin to blow, and you feel the structure shaking. The ego screams, fix it, reinforce the walls, the house is falling. But the spirit whispers, let it fall. We are talking about the disappearance of the universe. We are talking about the dissolution of the character you think you are playing. This is not for the faint of heart. This is for those who are tired of the game. It is for those who have realized that the cheese in the maze keeps moving, and the hunger is never satisfied. When you stop reaching for the future, you fall into the present. And in the present, you do not find a story. You find a silence. You find a presence that does not need a narrative to exist. This is the shift from becoming to being. Be still and know that I am God. Note the command. It is not work hard and know that I am God. It is not read more books and know that I am God. It is be still. Why is stillness so difficult? Because in stillness, the you that you think you are begins to evaporate, and to the ego that feels like death. But what actually dies? Only the illusion, only the mask. The face beneath the mask remains, untouched, eternal, and radiantly alive. Let us speak of the happy ending. In the ego script, a happy ending is when the character gets everything they want and the credits roll. But in the reality of the spirit, there are no endings, because there is no time. There is only an eternal unfolding. When you begin to apply the principles of A Course in Miracles, or any non-dual path, you are essentially agreeing to be dismantled. You are saying, I am ready to lose my life in order to find it. I recall a time when the three-dimensionality of the world seemed to collapse. The heavy, solid nature of this reality simply gave way, and what was left was not a void but a presence of light, the great rays. In that moment, the world disappeared. And contrary to what the ego warns, there was no sense of loss. There was no sacrifice. It wasn't as if I looked back and said, "Oh, I miss my suffering, I miss my limitations." No, it was a recognition. It was an aha. It was the laughter of someone who realizes they have been frightening themselves with a shadow puppet on the wall. However, before that laughter comes, there is often a period of profound disorientation. This is the dark night that the mystics speak of. It is the moment when the old world has faded, but the new world has not yet fully come into focus. You are in the void between identities. My partner Frances went through this with visceral intensity. There were days when she would look at me, her eyes wide with a fundamental confusion, and ask, "Who am I? Who am I, really?" This wasn't a philosophical question posed over a glass of wine. This was an existential emergency. She felt her history slipping away. She couldn't attach to the name Frances. She couldn't attach to her memories. The glue of her personality was dissolving. To the outside world, this looks like a breakdown. It looks like dysfunction. She could barely walk. She couldn't read a menu. The forms of the world, coffee, tables, money, became unintelligible shapes. Imagine the terror of the ego in that moment. It says, "You are going insane. You are losing your mind." But in reality, you are losing your mindfulness of the illusion. You are losing your grip on the lie. There is a lesson in the Course that says, "I will accept the atonement for myself." And in that lesson, Jesus says something startling. He says, "You are yourself, and yet you doubt it." It is like he is speaking to a confused child. You are yourself. Why do you doubt the only thing that is certain? But we do doubt it. We doubt our reality as spirit because we are so invested in our reality as a body. When the body identity starts to waver, we panic. During Frances's crisis, she was in the car, shaking her head, stuck in a loop of, "Who am I?" I didn't try to answer her with logic. You cannot answer a spiritual crisis with intellectual data. Logic is a tool of the separation. Instead, I felt a prompt from the spirit. We were supposed to go see a movie. The movie was Cloud Atlas by the Wachowskis. Now, if you have seen this film, you know it is a kaleidoscope of time, reincarnations, and weaving storylines. It is not a linear narrative. If you try to figure it out with your analytical mind, you will be frustrated. I told her, "It's not important who you are right now, just come. We will sit in the dark. We will watch the images. Do not try to understand it." This is the instruction for our lives. We are so desperate to understand. We want to know why this happened, what that means, where we are going. But Jesus tells us in the Course, nothing so blinding as perception of form. The moment you think you understand the form, you have missed the content. So we sat there. She surrendered the need to know who she was. She surrendered the need to follow the plot. She just let the experience wash over her. And in the final 10 minutes of that film, something broke open. She began to weep. Not tears of sadness, but tears of release. She cried through the credits. She put her head in my lap and just let it pour out. When she finally looked up, she didn't say, "I understand now." She said, "That was great. I feel wonderful." The question, "Who am I?" was not answered. It was dissolved. This brings us to the most vital component of the dismantling process, being held. In our society, if you walk around asking, "Who am I?" and forgetting how to read a menu, they will medicate you. They will institutionalize you. They will try to force you back into the box of the normal personality. They will see your awakening as a pathology. This is why we need what the Course calls mighty companions. We need a community of mind, even if it is just one other person, who can look at your disintegration and say, "This is okay, you are safe. You are not going crazy, you are going sane." We need to be held. When the ego is thrashing, when the ground is falling out from under your feet, you don't need a lecture on metaphysics. You need a hand to hold. You need someone to drive the car. You need someone to say, "I will be the bridge for you while you cross over." This is the beauty of true spiritual community. It is not about socializing. It is about serving as a reflection of the love that you have temporarily forgotten. It is about saying, "I know you think you are falling apart, but I see the light in you that is indestructible." We are not given an owner's manual for being human. We arrive here bewildered with these complex biological suits and these racing minds, and we are told to just figure it out. We try to copy others. We read books. But every book is written by another confused human with their own set of assumptions. I remember reading books and seeing clearly, this author believes in scarcity. This author believes in death. Then, I opened A Course in Miracles, and for the first time I felt I was reading something that did not come from a human mind. It had no assumptions. It did not bargain. It did not try to convince me. It spoke with an authority that originated from outside of time and space. It said, essentially, I can guide you, but you must do exactly what I say. This is where the rubber meets the road. Are we willing to resign as the general manager of our own universe? Are we willing to admit, I do not know what anything is for, I do not know my own best interests? This admission is the gateway to peace. As long as you think you know where you should be going, you are closed to guidance. You are gripping the steering wheel of a car that is spinning out of control. To dismantle and be held means to take your hands off the wheel. It means to say, use me. I am done with my own goals. I am done with my timeline. I am done with my story of how I was wronged or how I will be great. Use me, oh God. When you say this and mean it, the pressure lifts. You realize you don't have to carry the weight of your identity anymore. You don't have to be the protagonist of a drama. You can simply be a presence. You can be the space in which love occurs. The anxiety about the future dissolves because you are no longer managing the future. You are simply taking the next step, and the next, and the next. And in this walking, even if you stumble, even if you forget who you are, there is a love that holds you. There is a brotherhood that surrounds you. You are not doing this alone. You never were. The isolation was the illusion. The connection is the reality. So let the storybook ending go. Let the need for a coherent narrative go. Look into the eyes of the person across from you and sail through them into the timeless. That is where we are going. That is where we have always been. The dismantling is not the end. It is the beginning of the only thing that matters.